You tell me
We're
three.
going.
We're live?
We're live.
Well, good morning, Dr. B.
Good morning, Pop.
So, again, I'm Dr. Michael Malloy with Sandy Plains Chiropractic Clinic, and this is...
Dr. Brendan Malloy.
So, pretty exciting stuff that's happened since the last video we put out. And so today's is going to be short. It's going to be a prelude to what we're going to do next Tuesday night, which is pick up with our monthly healthcare class, and they usually run 45 minutes to an hour. So next Tuesday, and that'll be at 6:45, and it'll be an open chat. So our patients are welcome to join it like they usually do, but we usually do it in person at the clinic. So we're going to make this open to our patients and their questions to make sure we cover this pretty well. And it is going to be going over, a better immune response and how that might even be regulated by the brain. Because we did leave off, we had run 3 healthcare classes dealing with cognition, how to prevent and reverse cognitive decline. So we're going to bring in some new information on that. But up until now, we've been working with Dr. Dale Bredesen's book, but we're going to add a little bit to it. So we're pretty excited about that. So today is just to give you an idea of what we're going to be doing on Tuesday night, which will be much lengthier. Today's will only be about 15 minutes to give you an idea of the information we're going to cover and show you the importance of it. So one of the things that Dr. Brendan and I felt pretty excited about is we ran across a new podcast, and it's from Dr. Andrew Weil, called Body of Wonder. And it's fairly new. There's only 4 episodes out. They're about 25 minutes apiece. And so one of the ones that really caught my attention, Dr. Brendan will talk about one of them dealing with one of his favorite topics. The one I'm going to talk about a little bit is Dr. Bonnie Kaplan, and she works at the School of Medicine in Calgary, Canada. And her specialty is dealing with micronutrients and mental health. And by micronutrients, she's talking about, yes, vitamins to a degree, but predominantly minerals and trace elements and how important they are for brain development, brain function, and longevity. So we'll be talking about that and explaining some of that and how you can use her information. So obviously next week we're going to be talking about Dr. Dale Bredesen's. We're going to follow up on his. We're also going to be talking a little bit about Joan Boroshenko, because she's a cellular biologist, and like Dr. Andrew Weil, she really, really wants to work on an anti-inflammatory diet, how to simplify it, how to add more vegetables and make them colorful like the rainbow. That is certainly a great way to decrease inflammation within our body, which is at the basis of any of the Western diseases, including Alzheimer's, cognitive decline, cancer, diabetes. So this information is going to be pretty important. But one of the exciting topics, and Dr. Brendan is going to run with that right now.
So it's no surprise, I love sleep. And that's really what had led me to what we're going to talk about with brain health. There's so many things that sleep offers us. And one of the most interesting things that all the books that I read, and it talks about, we still really don't know why we sleep. We don't know what the sole purpose is, or what we just know that the biological purposes are vast and seems like it affects every single system. And what tends to be spoken about, what tends to be mentioned, especially currently, because this is really emerging as a very exciting piece of research, is the glymphatic system. The glial cells, the astroglia cells that sort of make up, they hold the neurons together, they hold our brain cells together. And for the longest time, the word glia meaning glue, they just really thought that they didn't do too much other than hold the neurons in place, and then they've acted as a blood-brain barrier. Well, what they're finding now is that they have many more functions. And one of those is what they're calling the glymphatic system. So to step aside to that, the lymphatic system is in the rest of the body. It tends to work as, depending who you read, it's either a sub system of the circulatory system. It has its own vessels, but they aren't muscular. They require movement. They require respiration. They require muscle activity to move the fluid through them. But they're a waste disposal system, and they essentially draw the metabolites, the waste from the body, from the interstitial fluid, and they work their way from the feet up. And if I remember correctly, the left arm, the left chest, and the rest of the body all dumps back into the subclavian artery on that left side. The head, the right chest, and the right arm dumps into the subclavian artery on the right side, which is interesting to me because you've got the whole body going to one duct, but the head mostly is the biggest structure here, going to just a single duct onto its own. So that's how the lymphatic system, but the lymphatic system does not go into the brain. It just goes up to the brain. So for the longest time, we didn't know how it all worked. This glymphatic system, the glial, the G, plays some sort of role there. And it plays its role in sleep. When we fall asleep, what they think they're seeing is there's this constriction. There's this
sort of a squeezing.
They squeeze, they shrink.
Huh.
In that process, they seem to pull the waste or press the waste out of the neurons, out of the brain cells, through the barrier, and then into the blood vessels or into this lymphatic system that's sort of sitting right by there, what they call the periarterial or the perivascular system. And then that obviously comes down, gets dumped in, and we either breathe it out, or it ends up going into the digestive system to be excreted out, or it gets worked out by the kidneys or liver. But that's why it goes back into the blood. And so that's what they think the system is. And through that, they're finding that, okay, people, like when we don't sleep well, we find this system doesn't work very well. It's not very active during the day, during wakeful hours. And there may be some tie-in with norepinephrine, with adrenaline. So there's also there might be some tie-in to if you're overstressed and you don't know how to really find peace, you don't know how to bring those levels down. Even in sleep, if your adrenaline's too high, your glymphatic system may not be working as well. They noticed that beta amyloids, which is one of the protein-like plaques that builds up in the brain, that it is higher when the lymphatic system doesn't work as well. It also higher in dementia and Alzheimer's. And then what they call tau tangles, another protein, seems to be much worse in Alzheimer's. And there's this tie-in with possibly the lymphatic system not working as well. So anyway, that's a lot of information right there. I've got even more than that. That comes from a lot of, like I said, I first started encountering that with the sleep books that I was reading, and then I started reading some research and Dr. Weil's work, and so from that standpoint, from the sleep standpoint, and even a little bit of stress management with the norepinephrine, that's what I want to dive into on Tuesday. And that's pretty much my end. That's my story.
Yeah, and quite a bit, because two things. Two of the podcasts from Dr. Andrew Weil on the body of wonder. Two of them, number 3 and number 4, deal with this. One of them is going to talk about the microglial setup in the brain and how important that is in terms of immune function. So it's tying right into sleep and right into cleansing the brain. And the second one with Dr. Bonnie Kaplan, the doctor from Calgary, Canada, she's talking about how just getting the right minerals balanced back in the body can absolutely improve brain function. And she's seeing it a lot in children that are explosive with their behavior. They may get home from school, and boy, that's when they have their meltdowns. And from all the research they're showing, their brain research on this, again, is when you supplement the brain with the proper combination of micronutrients, which are not in the soil many times. They looked at 40 different parcels of land in the western part of Canada, and 30 of them were very deplete in these essential micronutrients, giving credence to why we need to supplement in order to have just good brain health. So this is what we're going to be covering on Tuesday night. So again, in the meantime, go to the podcast, download, it's free, the Body of Wonder, and listen to some of these interviews. They're wonderful. They're not very long. They're practical, and you can start using some of this information. So that's some of what we're going to add to what we've already done in the past, dealing with Dr. Dale Bredesen, Joan Borisenko. I should also mention Dr. Meyer, who is the Gut-Brain Connection, the book that we presented probably 6 or 8 months ago. And we talked about the importance of the microbiome in mental health. You have to have a healthy gut. So we are going to touch again on, the fermented foods, and absolutely on the chicken bone broth and how healthy that is, not only for the gut, but for the brain. All of these people seem to be talking about this, so we're going to be sharing that with you. So on that note, Dr. B, I think that's about it for the prelude for next Tuesday.
All right. I also wanted to mention the books that I heavily reference would be Matthew Walker's Why We Sleep. It's a pretty tough book to get through, but worth the read. I also have Dale Bredesen's book, and also John Medina is a professor. I forget exactly where, but he teaches at 2 different schools, and he writes the Brain Rules series. So Brain Rules for Aging Well are 2 books that I definitely advise people read. If his books read like he teaches, he's an excellent teacher. These are excellent reads, very easy to digest. His chapters are both educational and funny. And he really puts a lot of his work, when you read the book and in certain chapters he goes over learning, you see that he actually structures his books the way he wants or feels like the brain needs to learn. So he's somebody I highly recommend. John Medina, any of his Brain Rules books, Bredesen, Matthew Walker, Joan Borisenko. I've got tons of books right here that I just referenced, but that's for this particular, if anyone's catching this recording, those would be good to pick up, and they'd help a lot.
Okay, so we'll bring these names up again on Tuesday night, the names of the authors and the scientists that this research is coming from. And a lot of this, obviously, is in the past 8 years, 10 years. So it's fairly new in terms of science. So, yeah. All right. Oh, is that a peacock in the background?
Yeah, it's getting rowdy over here.
The kids are rallying. All right. So Tuesday night, 6:45.
Okay. See you then.